Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Xah Talk Show. Today is 2020, December 27th, and 8 o'clock, almost 8:30 p.m. San Francisco time. How are you guys? Hello, George from Australia, and we are going to do Emac Lisp live coding and some random chat. Okay, so just type your comments in the chat box and I'll get to it. And well, there is a dollar sign you see, so put dollar in my account. Okay, that will be appreciated. Good evening, Lucas Sambi, where are you from? So we're gonna do Emac Lisp and some other random things. Okay, you talk, I reply. Okay, so first of all, Xah Talk Show. So what Emac Lisp are we going to do? So first of all, for you Emacs users, the pink window right there is all my command calls and keys. So if you see what I'm doing, you don't know, you can just look up the command name and just search it on the web. You'll find the source code. So today's talk show, open the browser, and we are going to So let's do Emacs. Okay, first of all, first stop is Emac Lisp coding. And what are we going to do? There it is. So we are going to do, now you can look at this list. Okay, if you want me to do some particular items, just say it in a comment. But I am going to begin to do this one. Write HTML command to delete current tag pair, or prompt to type a tag delete. Okay, so that's the one I'm going to write. Copy it back to Emacs. So actually open the file. Okay, so you see, magnify, show the okay, open notes, and this is the item we are going to do, and we are going to magnify. Why don't we? So we're gonna copy it, close it. Okay, copy it, close it, save it, paste it here. Okay, and you might be wondering what is the background image. The background image is this fantastic movie, The Hunger Games. The Hunger in Hunger Games. Breathe it all in, children. Now I love this. Now you may notice the angle, my camera angle is different today because it's, my wife is sleeping behind me. Well, she's watching her Chinese TV drama shows. So you are looking at me. Now anyway, this movie is fantastic. I love it. The Hunger Games, and the Hunger in Hunger Games. Well, why hunger? Because I personally have intimate relationship with that, and it's fantastic movie. I love it because for many reasons, and this is the image you are seeing. Breathe it all in, children. In fact, our society, America, and let's just say America, okay, in our society is approaching the Hunger Games state. Okay, it is approaching. As you can see, she's got this purple hair, and indeed we have lots of these purple hairs and people, and they are looking for fashion. They are highly elite, and they are fake, hypocrites, and they are rich. Yes, indeed, our society is approaching that. And we have games, Hunger Games. Forget about the hunger for a moment. Just think about the games. Yeah, video games. Gamers, you guys are gamers. So that's the background image. Now let's begin the seriousness of the Emac Lisp, the greatest programming language. Okay, so write a HTML command to delete current tag pair. For example, I'm on this line, and you can see the li tag here. I want to remove the li tag. I don't have a command for that, but I do have a command. I have, for example, I have a command Xah remove list. Okay, Xah HTML remove list tags. So if I press enter, you can see the list tags are gone. So let's copy it. Let's do it here. So this is original, and here is a copy, and I call the command remove list tags. You see, all the list tags are removed, including UL and LI. And I also have a command. For example, right now I make this into a paragraph. I also have a command that removes paragraph tags. So Xah HTML remove paragraph tags. Enter. You can see paragraph tags are gone. Now, so I can go on and write a command to remove, for example, remove div, or remove main, or remove footer. Yeah, but it would be nice to have one command to remove, the tag the cursor is currently in. So let's begin writing that. Shall we? George sent me $30. Thank you, George. Merry Christmas. Now that you are SJW expert, SJW expert, can you tell us where the history of Western philosophy went wrong? Oh, that's the social justice. SJW. Okay. Can you tell me where the history of Western philosophy went wrong? Okay. Yeah, we can talk about that. In fact, why don't we just talk about that? Because today is Lisp and random. Hey, good morning, Nimshiko. Greetings to Hong Kong. And greetings to Sweden, Lucas Sambi. Okay, so Emac Lisp versus social justice. Which one topic to talk about? Let's talk about social justice, because there's money. There's money to gain. It is my duty to respond to money. So social justice. Okay, let me tell you about that. So about 2 months ago, I took a project. So let me just so I studied the philosophy and psychology of social justice. That's just my term. Okay. Anyway, I studied philosophy and psychology of the past 100 years. So from 1900s basically. It's not exact, but anyway, basically the past 100 years. So I study philosophy and psychology of it, the past 100 years, and with a particular focus on particular type of philosophy. Okay, I'll just call it social justice, because that's what they are. And so let me check the question. Can you tell us where the history of Western philosophy went wrong? That's a good question. It begins there. Okay, I would say so. The first so let's do this. Let's just write it down. Okay, so we have a record of what are we doing. Social justice. Can you tell us where the history of Western philosophy went wrong? Yes, indeed, it went wrong. It began with the Hegel guy. Hegel, okay? You might have heard of him because he is one of the greatest crackpot in philosophy. This guy is a scumbag. In society, we have all sort of scumbags. We have thieves, we have liars, we have bad politicians, corrupted politicians. They lie, they take bribes. We have bad cops. And yeah, it's not necessary to be a criminal. You have bad guys. For example, even in your family, maybe you have your siblings, your parents, or your your son or your children or your granddad is a bad person. He always lies or something, or maybe he's got psychological problems, or she. So in society, we do have bad persons. Why? Because, well, it's a complicated, complex thing. But anyway, so what I'm saying is that, so you have bad persons, small bad and big bad, and for then for example, you have the World War II, the Germany, certain countries, there are certain leaders, and also Japan, and so in all sort of areas, fields of human activity, human endeavor, you have bad people. So indeed, that is true in philosophy too. For example, you also have con men. We have a lot of that in today's society, in America, USA, for example. Because I let me talk about USA because I know it best. You have con men who just cheat money. Who, for example, today on Twitter, they go to Twitter, they say something, and they want your donation, and they get a lot of donation, but they don't actually do anything they supposed to. They said they're gonna do. They just make up things. They lie, and they usually, often, they get away with it. And today we have lots of in USA, for example, you have non-profit organizations. Is a lot of them, and many of them make millions of dollars a year, net income. Millions of dollars. And they are typically, non-profit organization. Typically, they say they are helping humanity. They are good doers, this or that. I think most of them are just bad. Comment and quotes. So these are bad things, bad people. In the same way, there are such people in philosophy. Hegel is one of them. Hegel. Now you must have heard Hegel because he's the most famous. The DuckDuckGo, every time you search, if you have JavaScript turned off, it is impossible to turn it on and research it without typing. Because right now, for example, let me digress. Let me tell you a problem about the DuckDuckGo idiots. They are struggling. They want to be popular, right? It's a search engine, but they are not doing a good job in at least in this aspect. For example, I have JavaScript turned off. So right now I search Hegel, but I want to do image search. Usually there's an image search button. I just click it, but it's not showing up. Why is it not showing up? Because I have JavaScript turned off. So if I'm at Google, if I go to Google, for example, let's say google.com, Google search engine, and I say I want to search for Hegel. Okay. You see, even I have JavaScript turned off, but Google still, you can still have images. But for DuckDuckGo, no, you don't have that. That's a failure. Okay, you want it to be they want to be popular, right? But it's a bad software. It's just one of the bad aspects. So, but in Google, if I want to, for example, if I click images, so this is what Hegel looks like. He's a con man in philosophy, one of the greatest con men in philosophy. Basically, he's the one who began this bullshit philosopher. Okay, this is just my opinion. Okay, because in philosophy, it's huge. It's got a big history. So actually there are other, there are quite a lot con men and codes and shit. Also in religion, especially in religion too. It come with these kind of fields, con men in religion and philosophy. But anyway, let's say in the past 200 years, Hegel is the biggest one. Okay, and I would claim, it is my opinion. Okay, Hegel is the one who began. If you really want to go back to trace how did the Western society, in particular the social justice kind of thinking began, I would claim it began with Hegel. Okay, let's go back to the DuckDuckGo thing. So for Google, for example, I have I can turn on JavaScript. then the difference is that when I click a link, it'll kind of show me the yeah. Anyway, my point about, let's go back to DuckDuckGo. So I want to turn on images. You cannot. You can, you have to, basically you have to go to DuckDuckGo, and their name is fucking idiotic. They should really change. You have to go there and then change the JavaScript, turn it on, then you have to type. Okay, so lots of digression right now. So what I do usually is I click on this and click on that. Very tortuous way to do this. Then I go to DuckDuckGo homepage, here at the bottom. Then now you can see the URL is duckduckgo.com. Then I go here, then I turn on the JavaScript. Okay, then I shrink the window, then I close DuckDuckGo. Then now if I search DuckDuckGo again, now it shows images. Okay, you see these buttons shows up. Now I click images. So that's what the Hegel, one of the greatest crackpot in philosophy. Now you have you heard of him, and people will usually say, oh, his philosophy is difficult to understand. That's a common thing with the with the crackpot philosophers, because they always have very, when you don't understand something, they'll just say, oh yeah, it's because you don't understand it because it's difficult. It's bullshit. So don't. So when next time you see Hegel and you see, oh yeah, his philosophy is just difficult to understand, you might think, oh, maybe you need to study more. No, not really. It's just bullshit. Okay, it's a pure bullshit. Using language to jumble them up. Take the word from me. So that's Hegel. Okay. But actually, so I haven't studied Hegel that much, and also he's not within the past 100 years. But let me tell you, okay, let me tell you the few big keywords of what I would say social justice philosophy. The biggest one is actually Continental Philosophy. Continental. Okay, so you go there, search for the YouTube. I mean, search Google it, go to Wikipedia. Now this is I would say this is the main line. This Continental Philosophy, I'm going to explain, okay, but this is the main line. This is the forefather, this is the pioneer of all the social justice fuck, okay, all the crap, all the garbage. So you can see, let me read the Wikipedia. Continental philosophy is a set of 19th and 20th century philosophical traditions from mainland Europe. Okay, so it's so it means 1800s and 1900s. This sense of the term originated among English-speaking philosophers in the second half of the 20th century, who used it to refer to a range of thinkers and traditions outside the analytic movements. Okay, I can explain that. So in philosophy, in 1900s, the analytic movements is a great branch of philosophy. And basically, what is the analytic school of philosophy? Basically, they are science-based. Okay, simply put. So there are all kind of philosophy. So analytic philosophy, in particular, logicism and positive logicism, they are basically science-based philosophy. In short, okay, I'm not going to go into detail. So anyway, Continental philosophy include. Okay, let me just quick. Okay, Continental philosophy includes German idealism. Let me magnify. Okay, includes German idealism, phenomenology, existentialism. Okay, and hermeneutics. That's important. Okay, remember the word phenomenology and hermeneutics. That's the two biggest keywords in social justice, in pioneering social justice thought. Okay, phenomenology and hermeneutics. Remember that. Okay, so continental philosophy is these kind of things, and structuralism and post-structuralism. That's another big one, and deconstruction, a big one. Now we are getting closer and closer to today. Structuralism, then post-structuralism, deconstruction, French feminism. There it is. Coming, close into today. We have the social justice words now. Feminism and psychoanalytic theory and the critical theory. Exactly, critical theory. You hear it all the time. Critical theory. And Freudian, Hegelian, and Western Marxist views. Okay. Anyway, so it is, so I would say continental philosophy is the root, depending on how far back you want to trace, is the root of all the fuck up. Okay, because they, and in general, okay, so in general, these philosophies, they distance themselves from science, from anything science. They don't want, they don't want imperialism. They don't want experience. They don't want verification. Verifiable. They don't want none of that. So their idea basically, and beginning in the early days, phenomenology is a big thing. Okay, that is a huge topic, and hermeneutics is also a big thing. You can go online, YouTube. There's a lot of people explaining those things, not necessarily correctly, and typically they are the social justice type of people, and social justice warriors. They are today basically all most of the young people in universities, because the entire universities are corrupted. They are tainted. It's a disease. Okay, so anyway, phenomenology, that's a big thing. And hermeneutics is a big thing, and existentialism is also part of it. Okay, so what is exactly is existentialism? That's another. Again, let me say again, these philosophies, okay, continental philosophy in short, that's kind of a group word, but it's not a good. Anyway, this kind of philosophy, basically they share a certain approach or way of thinking. Okay, and basically they have a characteristics of so-called difficult to understand, because you read it, you try to read it, phenomenology and hermeneutics in particular, you try to read it, you will not understand it. Doesn't matter how high is your IQ. Okay. So they are kind of like, they are these philosophies that you try to study them, understand what they are saying. They go roundabout, it's kind of, in some way, it's like the Eastern philosophical traditions. For example, Taoism, Zen, Buddhism. Taoism in particular, Taoism, Zen. They don't talk in a way of Western logic. Clarity, precision. Following arguments. The quick, in general, in particular, Eastern philosophies, they don't follow that. Rather, it's kind of just a culture, and in Eastern philosophy, for example, Taoism, Zen, this kind of thing, and Confucianism, they don't ask you to reason. I mean, reason is not the thing. It's like out of the question. I mean, it's not in consideration. Like Asian philosophies, they are not trying to reason. Okay, they are not really trying to reason. They are more of a kind of a gentle way of telling you about basically a philosophy about life, about the universe, the big mysteries, the questions. They don't really want to try to prove. For example, Taoism says the world is made of yin and yang. Everything is duality, yin and yang, and it's like a fucked up crap. There's no logical. It's not science, okay. but the point about Asian philosophy is that they are not trying to reason with you. Like they will not say, oh, we prove why, here's the reason why the world is yin and yang. They never say that. Okay, they just present it to you, and it so happens Asia, China mostly, we follow the tradition. This is the Eastern philosophy. You don't confront. Okay, you don't try to argue. You don't confront. Okay, they do reason, but it's not like the Western thing. Okay, so the thinking pattern is entirely different. But in Western philosophy, that's not the case. It's rather very different. So since the ancient times, the Western philosophy is always about reason. When you say something, you have to prove it. What's your reason? What's your rationality? Because this is therefore something. These people, Plato, Kant, and so on. Okay. So in Western philosophy, then you have the Continental Philosophy. I read Wikipedia. I'm not expert about this, but I have an interest in philosophy since 1991. So anyway, so in Western philosophy, then you reach this point. Okay, Continental Philosophy. This is the beginning when the Western philosophy started to not really following the traditional Western way of rationalism, logic. Like you reason, you prove something. They stop doing that. For example, okay, phenomenology and hermeneutics, they are kind of complex, but I'll start to explain the existentialism. Okay, I cannot really do a good job of explaining this. But anyway, but essentially it says that if I can put, forgive me if I'm wrong to the professional philosophers, but essentially, basically, existentialism just says that, well, you look at, they look at the philosophy of different philosophies, they think, oh, yeah, but you actually, basically they say you need to put humanity into it. Okay, you need to put humanity, like, into it. So essentially they say that instead of thinking about philosophy, how the world is, materialism versus idealism, everything, materialism, everything is physical objects, or idealism is that nothing exists except your mind, because that's the only thing you can prove. This is two great branches of philosophy: idealism and materialism. One is that nothing exists except physical atoms. That's materialism. The other school thinks, idealism thinks, that nothing exists except your mind. I think, therefore I am. And they try to reason why they think that way. And there are many branches of their school. But then comes existentialism. It says, well, no, all this philosophy is too complicated. We need to put in some kind of human touch. So they recommend something like that. So when you think about philosophy, you think actually philosophy, it should be what you think of it. So forget about all the philosophy, materialism, Plato or whatever. They say, they suggest, they have this kind of thinking. They just say, actually it just depends on you. Okay, whatever they say, it depends on each person. Existentialism. That's because each person exists. You must define. You must view the world by yourself. That's their point of view. This is the beginning of the downhill. Okay, before the past 2 months, I never understood exactly what it is, but now I have some idea. Began by this guy. Jean-Paul Sartre. Okay, I'm not sure I pronounced it right, but so this guy began existentialism, but I'm not sure that he's a comment. I don't know. Some of these philosophies I talked about, Continental Philosophy, it is not necessarily true that the people involved in them are common. Okay, they're not necessarily true. Because philosophy is a very complicated. It's about thought. It's about thinking about the universe. So throughout history, people have some ideas. But so, for example, the hermeneutics. Okay, the guy who created hermeneutics, by this guy, what's his name? Not no wait. I'm talking about phenomenology. Okay, the guy created phenomenology. This guy, okay, Edmund Husserl. Okay, he is a mathematician, so he created phenomenology. Originally, is to study, what is a number. That's the original happening. Then gradually, okay, where am I going? So, okay, let me regroup. Okay, so anyway, so these things, okay, hermeneutics, and phenomenology and hermeneutics is the two of the key things that gave us social bad philosophy, social justice, and all other things. Existentialism, like so all these philosophies, they have a similarity, is that they distance themselves. They are more and more distance themselves from science, okay, from reasoning and logicality. Beginning with the existentialism, because existentialism, they say, they tell you that whatever philosophy is just what you think it is. Basically, they want the human touch. Human touch is also fundamental to all these things. They, instead of reason, for example, in Western philosophy, typically, we want to reason, logic, science, physics. But they don't. But logic and math and science, there's no humanity. There's no human touch in it. There's no empathy. There's no emotion. It's kind of cold, cold. So this kind of philosophy, they have something in common, is that they want to put the human touch back in. So anyway, let me focus. Okay, so actually, how long have I been talking? Okay, so actually I went all over the place. Do I make sense? So I've been talking for 33 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna read some comments, and I'm going to okay, let me get back to some of the main points I want to talk about. Okay, so just remember, okay, continental philosophy is the beginning of when the Western philosophy went bad. Okay, and they say it began with idealism and so on. But there are a few things I can tell you right off the bat. I mean I can emphasize. One is phenomenology. Okay, so let me open that. Phenomenology and hermeneutics. Okay, and also there are others. Post-structuralism. Okay, post-structuralism. Also, we are getting closer to today. And deconstruction. So what is deconstruction? Basically, deconstruction is basically they just want to attack you. Okay, that's what deconstruction is. So it become worse and worse. This continental philosophy, over the past 100 years, becomes worse and worse, and eventually becomes today's social justice kind of thinking. They become a this kind of thinking. They became a pure tactic to overthrow authority or your enemy. Okay, that's what this philosophy is about. So, for example, today, as you are aware, in politics or on Twitter, someone will tell you, you are wrong. You are a white guy, or whatever. You are not. I'm trying to stay away from some of the phrases of that Google will censor me. But anyway, so today, someone will tell you are wrong. They are trying to get you cancelled. They'll just say you are wrong, and you cannot argue with them, because whatever you argue, they are not actually into argument. As I said, this philosophy, they are not about reasoning. Gradually they become less and less of that. They are getting away from any kind of rationality or science. Okay, getting away from it. So they are about so gradually they become a pure tactic, a machinery, a weapon, a machinery to overthrow your opponent. So today, for example, someone accuses you of something, and you think you didn't do nothing wrong, and you can argue with them. You stand up and argue, but your argument doesn't work because they are not into argument in the first place. That's this philosophy is about. So it becomes a machinery to overthrow your opponent. Okay. And that began. We may say that began with deconstructionism. Okay, deconstruction. So what is deconstruction? Okay, so you can go read Wikipedia. This Jack Derrida, a scum. So this deconstruction is basically, suppose you live in a society. Okay. Suppose in programming society, okay, now someone did hard work, so they get a higher pay. They become the top, the leaders. They get more pay, and you get little pay because maybe you don't work, or maybe you are stupid. Okay, but of course you also want high pay. You want more money than them, than whoever is doing better than you. So you want to think of a way to attack them, to put them down, and you become rich and powerful, to overthrow the authority, to overthrow the structure, to overthrow the mainstream theories or ideas such as science. Okay. So that's what the deconstruction is about. So this philosophy, deconstruction, says that, okay, when you read the text, you want to so let's read Wikipedia. Deconstruction is a approach to understanding the relationship between text and meaning. Okay. It's an approach to understanding the relationship between text and meaning. It was originally by the philosopher Jack Derrida, who defined the term variously throughout his career. It is in its simplest form, it can be regarded as a criticism of Platonism. You see, that's a key. In its simplest form, it can be regarded as a criticism of Platonism. What is Platonism? Basically, that's the foundation of Western science. Okay, the foundation of Western philosophy. So it's a criticism of Platonism and the idea of true forms or essence which take precedence over appearances. Here is the mysterious parts. So this is a philosophy, deconstruction. So basically, it's an attack on Western philosophy, but further it says it's the idea of true forms. So you see, he's attacking your idea. Whatever. Suppose you are the Platon. He's attacking your idea, so what's his reason? So his reason is that he is the true form. Your philosophy is appearances. Okay, his philosophy is true form or essence. What does essence mean? I don't know, whatever it means. Okay, so he in his essence and the true form, and this takes precedence over appearances. So in other words, he is saying, okay, your Platonism or sciences or whatever is based on physics, logic, math. Okay, that's all good, but you are not true form. Those are not essence. Those are appearances, and the true form takes precedence over your, whatever your logic. So this is quite typical of this continental philosophy. Okay. So it says deconstruction instead places the emphasis on appearance or suggests instead of placing emphasis on appearance or suggest at least that essence is to be found in appearance. What? Derridas would say that the difference is undecidable. Okay, there it is. There it goes. Undecidable in that it cannot be discerned in everyday experience. Okay, it's starting to become, more and more garbage. So that's that's a trait. These with all these continental philosophy. Okay, I need to finish, I guess. I've been rambling so much, and so far I've been talking philosophy. I haven't been talking about psychology yet. So I'm not sure I'm going to begin to explain phenomenology. Again, it's just crap. Okay, it's like nothing you can really actually understand what exactly they are saying. Phenomenology and hermeneutics. That's another interesting thing. That's a big thing. Okay, hermeneutics began even before. Anyway, it has its origin in Bible, in studying Bibles. Okay, this is when I'm going to criticize the Christians. Okay, George, George and Alan. This is when I'm going to criticize the crackpots, the con men in Christian. There's tons of them. In fact, most of them are up to now, about 10 years ago or 20 years ago, the Christians, the power, they fall apart. They are taken over. They are overthrown by the social justice warriors. But before, Christians is all powerful, ruling all most of the all of the Western world almost. And hermeneutics is one of the philosophy that defends. It's one of the tactics that defends the Christian crap. Okay. So what it's let me read it. Okay, so hermeneutics is the theory and methodology of interpretation, especially the interpretation of biblical texts and wisdom literature and philosophical texts. Hermeneutics is more than interpretive principles or methods used when immediate comprehension fails, and includes the art of understanding and communication. Blah blah blah. Okay, so basically hermeneutics supposedly is a methodology of interpretation. What does that mean? For example, if you read Bible or something difficult, like you don't understand it, so there comes hermeneutics. It's supposed to teach you in what way you can understand it. Interpretation. It's more than that. But let me tell you the essence. Let me tell you the essence of hermeneutics that you will not hear from another mouth. Probably not. Well, I'm pretty sure someone else have said it before. The essence of hermeneutics, just like I said before about many of these social justice philosophies, the essence is that suppose you read a book, let's say Bible. Okay, it's patently false. It's a lot of bullshit. They say, man is created from a woman's rib. God made it. God pulls a rib out of Adam and created Eve from it. Bible says that, and Bible says, Earth is certain years old. Bible says a lot of things. So you have a text, and that's patently false. Okay, lots of crap. But you are Christian. You are the Christianity. Very powerful for reasons. Long history. But now science becomes popular, and you are under attack. Science is attacking you. Look! These Christians, book, their holy book. It says, It says 1 + 1 = 3. At this point, what you gonna do? So you are a Christian, you are one of the leaders, the priests or whatever, Pope, and science, you are being attacked by science because your Bible is a bunch of bullshit. What you gonna do? you invented hermeneutics. That's the solution. So you're gonna tell these science people, okay, actually, actually, you don't understand the Bible, you know, because you need to understand it, because it's very deep. You have to, interpretation is a big thing. How do you know what one plus one is? What does that mean? So you have to know hermeneutics. The science. They don't actually say science, but they often try to present it as the science of interpretation. So actually you have to look into why it's written that way, and many this is a huge, you can see on Wikipedia, it's a huge article. It's one load of crap. Okay, that's what it is. Hermeneutics. So originally, hermeneutics is associated with interpretation of the Bible. Okay, and by the way, you go to YouTube. As I said before, YouTube will have some people will try to explain all these philosophies, and and many of them professors. Okay, these are people who live. They get money out of these things. That's why I say these are crackpots. Okay, I think actually I do I make sense? I talk too much. Nothing is objective. Sounds like hermeneutics. Okay, I think deconstruction is saying three apples or three cars are more real than abstract number three. Agree, just crap. Okay, in general, what people are saying, I think I should shut down soon. Justin Allen. So Allen says, by what standards do you judge good and bad? That's a very complex philosophical question. What do you mean by what standards? I mean, we can talk about this for 10 years and there's no resolution, because philosophers have done that exactly. What is good and what is bad. And what do you mean by, okay, so you are asking by what standard do you judge good and bad? Okay, what standards are there? I mean, you know so if you are asking me a question, if you are asking me a question, what do you mean by what standard? What kind of standard are there? You mean by what philosophy or by what school of thinking that judges good and bad? And again, that's a huge topic. There's a lot. You can go to Wikipedia. There's huge number of articles. School of thought on ethics. Basically, that's ethics and morality. That's supposed to be one of the four big branches of philosophy: ethics and morality. How do you judge what is good and bad? And okay. Oh my God! Look at this. Okay, I got a FF. Well, the streamer is a. I don't know if he's joking or he doesn't like my stuff. Okay. 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 So anyway, so that's my perception. That's my view of hermeneutics. It began with Bible stuff, but in the past 50 years or 100 years, it becomes more complex. It became applicable hermeneutics. It became applicable to all sort of anything, about anything, especially today. For example, you go to Google Scholar. Okay, so today's university, they are all doing this. Okay, you go to Google Scholar. Now, if you are not in academia, then you may not know. But Google Scholar is basically what you do. You know it well if you are in academia. It basically it collects all kind of publications, journals from academia. And then one of them, as social justice. They are everywhere in every university, and there's a big, huge department on social sciences. That's when all these are studied. And you will find, suppose you type phenomenology. Okay, then you will find just tons of articles, endless, and each one is basically incomprehensible. And they will tell you, they'll talk about all sort of things that you will hear in the social justice circles. Why this, why you are a bad guy, why if you are something something sex something something, you are a bad guy, why skin color, you are a bad guy. Why you are just a fucking bad guy. And they have tons of articles, this literature, they will cite it to back up the entire social justice movements. Phenomenology, okay, you can try, go to Google Scholar and search it and try to read a few, see if you understand, okay, phenomenology is one thing. The other thing is hermeneutics. You'll have tons of it, okay. And also, one of the trick is that you don't want to search just these words. Rather, you want to search some particular topic. For example, I don't know, maybe racism or gender, you want to put those as the main topic. Then also type in hermeneutics or phenomenology. Then you will see a huge ton of literature on those things. So I started to talk, of course, there's this deconstruction, then post-structuralism, and so I think that summarized my my answer to the question, which is, can you tell us where the history of Western philosophy went wrong? Okay, that answer is the Continental Philosophy. That's the term. Okay, but actually, so if you read Wikipedia, the term is not, it's actually the English philosophers or the analytic philosophers. They use the term to ridicule this kind of weird crap, common philosophies. They themselves, this hermeneutics and the Continental philosophers, they don't call themselves that, but now it became a standard term, Continental philosophy. It mostly originates mostly in Germany and in France. Lots of German, and France. So that's why they call it continental. It's not, for example, it's not a tradition of the United Kingdom or USA, but by now they've spread all over white people's countries. Not in China, not in Japan. None of that. None of this crap. Okay, in China, Japan, Asia, or in Russia. Yeah, probably true. So but they spread to all the English-speaking, Western, based on Latin alphabet countries. So I would say this Continental philosophy, in particular, so I talked about phenomenology, existentialism, hermeneutics, and so that's the main thing. And there's also, of course, post-structuralism, deconstruction, and French feminism, psychoanalytic theory, and critical theory. Yeah. So again, as you know, like today, if you live on Twitter, when you think about social justice philosophies, you might think, oh, that's postmodernism and Marxism. You might just say those, or critical theory. Yeah, but those are more. I'm talking about, so far I'm talking about a bit before them. Of course they critical theory and all that, they are today's in the proper part of social justice thinking. Okay, I think that I should end there. And also, let me mention a little bit about psychology. Okay, psychology is about understanding the human mind. Okay, how human mind works. Now, psychology shares one aspect with philosophy. That is, it is on a subject matter that we basically have no way to understand nothing. Okay, we begin today, starting like today, like let's say year 2000s, technology and sciences have today are advanced enough that we can begin to study the brain's structure. We have we study the brain. That's called neuroscience. That's there's a branch of psychology. You study the brain by actually studying the biology, the chemistry of the brain. You study as the brain as a science, so you can start to you begin to have some understanding. But basically, psychology is a topic that it's we begin to understand it from a scientific methodology, but overall it's still very fuzzy. Like what do you mean? How does the mind work? How do I know? Nobody knows. And you cannot touch it. You cannot know what is a soul. What is a soul? You know, does how do you know what is consciousness? You don't know. Nobody knows. And so it began with Freud, however you pronounce it. So anyway, psychology and philosophy, they share this thing. They study a subject that has really no scientific, not solidly science. Okay. So in philosophy, it's also a rife ground for all kind of con men and crackpots in psychology. Okay, so Freud began the Freudian psychoanalytics. Okay, then there's a lot. Okay, then there's psychoanalytic theory. Okay, psychoanalysis. That's Freud, Sigmund Freud. Psychoanalysis. Then you have then you have quite a lot. I think that's it for today. Maybe I'll talk about it next time. Okay, anything else? Let me read the comments, okay, and we shut down. Let's see. So I've been talking for an hour, 58 minutes. Good time to shut down. So George, are you still here? Say something to wrap this up. Is my answer satisfactory? Thank you for your money. Okay, BC says went wrong by allowing third wave feminism, and yeah. So we have feminism. That's again the later thing, starting 1970s. Then you have the intersection, another incomprehensible fuck intersection. Again, okay, let me emphasize. So these philosophies, continental philosophy, they are the pioneer. They are the forefather of today's, how the social justice kind of thinking, or sort of. I guess I'm not sure there's a direct relation to Marxism. I think they are. Okay. Then of course feminism and all that. Thoughts on Wittgenstein. No, I don't know who is that. Well, I heard of that, but let me see. Was a Austrian-British philosopher who worked primarily in logic, philosophy of mathematics, the philosophy of mind, and the philosophy of language. Yeah, okay. He's a great guy. I can tell you right away. I came across the guy before. He's good. I think he's a school of analytic philosophy. I don't know. His teacher, Bertrand Russell. Yeah. Any guy whose teacher is Bertrand Russell is good, because Bertrand Russell is a guy who he's one of the main elements of the analytic philosophy. Okay, he's the main person. Back to Safari. So BC Cachito says, Xah, do you think that any social justice are aware of any of these origins? No. Well, it depends. In general, no. Just like the masses don't know nothing. And so these young people, who are brainwashed by this kind of thinking today, leftist thinking, do they know this history of this? Of course they don't. They don't. Not really. Not really. They just learn. Whatever textbooks of critical theory, feminism, social studies. They just they don't necessarily know what came before it. Yeah, yeah. And this applies in general to almost anything too. So Alan says, look into occultist connection with enlightenment and beyond. Okay, that's that's Alan's take. Yeah, that's Alan's. I noticed Alan has that. That's Alan's quirk, I might say. I'm talking. I have my quirks. So Alan has also a quirk. So Alan's, you know, don't take my word for it. Ask Alan for his opinions. But I think Alan has the view that, for example, enlightenment. So I would very much approve enlightenment. Okay, enlightenment is where how the Westerns, it's a general intellectual movements in Western society, and we all benefited from it. That's my view and average, general view in enlightenment, and all these, positive logicism, the good philosophies, they all came from enlightenment. Okay, but Alan disagree. I think Alan disagree. So because Alan, I don't want to criticize, but Alan believe, Alan is a Christian, and Alan believed that. Okay, anyway, ask Alan. Okay. And George, it seems George agrees too. Okay, so you guys have to, if you want to, so you can, Alan and George, if you guys are still here, you ask me a question, and I can kind of, I can disagree or agree or retort or comment on what you think about, your view, Alan, about. So, I think Alan is saying that part of enlightenment there is some kind of occultism, basically crap. Okay, that somehow created a. So I think in Alan's opinion, that's also the root of social justice thinking, because Alan is against. Alan, is against anything that's not Christian. Yes, analytic philosophy is a good thing. That's a good philosophy. Analytic philosophy. Okay. That's what I believe. Okay, it's like religion, and you have many different beliefs, and in philosophy too, you have different schools of thinking. Which school is right? There's no correct answer. Which school of philosophy is right? Because philosophy by itself, it's just fuzzy. It's not science. You cannot prove one is right. This is right or that is right. It's all just thinking. So in some sense, you can think of philosophy or religions as a power struggle. And in fact, that's a lot of the social justice pattern of thinking is about. They think it's all just power struggle. But anyway. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Bye. That's it for today. Bye.